G'day guys, it's Dom here from onlineautoparts.com.au, and today we're talking all about these things, gas struts, the things you need to know when searching for them for your vehicle, the different types there are, and a few different tips for installing them as well. As you're probably well aware, these support struts are used on the bonnets and boots of quite a lot of vehicles nowadays, just in order to provide that easy open and close action that we all like. But of course, these are prone to wearing out over time, and of course they fail, which means the boot will crash closed, same with the bonnet. Shout out to me knocking myself out in my first year of being here. G'day guys. Ow. So what are the different types of gas struts? Well, they're not going to be different as in they're, different type of strut entirely. It's just going to be the way that these ones mount. So this one that I'm holding here is a ball joint to ball joint style mount. So essentially that means that you've got ball joint connector end on this end and another one on this end. By comparison, you've also got these types. Whoop, almost drop it. So these use a bracket style on one end, which means you will need to undo some screws or bolts or something in order to get this end in, and then the other end is just going to be with another ball joint. A couple of common issues that people do have with the ball joint to ball joint type ones is when they receive them, the ball joints actually don't line up with the way that they're meant to be installed into the car. Now, on all of our ball joint type gas struts like this one here, all you need to do to fix that, if you've popped one end on and you can't get the other end on because it's not lining up, all you've got to do is just grab both ends, whoop, and give it a twist like that. And then, as you can see, if I straighten it out a little bit, they're now equal sides. And again, just pinch, twist, and you can see that side's got one, and this one's facing up. You can see it now when it's facing down. So if you're having issues, just give the ends a twist and you should be able to get these to line up. When it comes to either type, when you're installing them, you will need some tools. Now for the ball joint to ball joint type ones, you're just going to need a small flathead, which I need to go grab. Any goodies? No? Not that drawer. Is it this drawer? Aha! So all you will need for the ball joint to ball joint type struts is just going to be a small flathead screwdriver. That is because on the backings of the ball joints, you've got this little wire clip. All you need to do to remove these is just slide your flathead into that little wire clip and move it up and over so that you can get it out of the way. This is just what pretty much labels these little clips in there to do their job and keep the ball joint attached. And then in order to completely lock it in, you just got to knock that little ribbon tab back and then everything will click into place and you won't be able to rip the ball joint off. Well, I mean, I'm sure with enough force you'll still be able to rip it open, but don't do that. And then again, for the bracket style ones, these ones also do twist. So if you need to adjust how things are meeting up, all you got to do is just twist either side of this one and you'll be able to get them to line up accordingly. Now, thankfully, on our wonderful website, onlineautoparts.com.au, check it out if you haven't been there before, we have mapped all the vehicle-specific ones, so which are pretty much all of them, for the bonnets and the boots, which means that when you select your vehicle, correctly entered your vehicle details, you will get the correct strut. It's not only the right length, but it's also got the right Newton meter torque rating on these. You're not meant to be able to compress them by hand because these do have quite a lot of force in them, obviously to lift and to help lower the tailgate or bonnet. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to four-wheel drive canopies for utes and stuff, there's no way for us to actually know what the specific required length for each aftermarket manufacturer of the canopies is supposed to be, as well as the torque ratings. So for those ones, they are all generic universal fitment on the website. We are not able to narrow those ones down. If you do want to pick up a set of canopy struts, it's going to be best to check the specs that are on your current ones, measure the open length. So you can measure the closed length, obviously with the window closed, and you can then hop in the back and check if you want to just be extra sure. But obviously, yeah, you can't compress these by hand, so getting a compressed length is not the easiest. Another important thing to note when it comes to the strength or Newton rating of the struts is going to be for if you have a spoiler or if you don't have a spoiler. So for example, XR6 Falcons, SS Commodores, those kinds of cars, for example, that do have an option without spoiler and with a spoiler, make sure you are getting the one that is rated for your specific model, aka with spoiler, without spoiler. Otherwise, they're not going to be to the correct strength that you're going to need them to be. Another quick bit of information for these, I guess. They do have a Teflon seal on them. They do last quite a while. I use my boot in my Falcon every single day, and they've been in there for the past 2 years. Work exactly like they did the first day I installed them. They also do have a little bit of grease included in the ball joint ends. Good tip to just add a little bit of extra grease in there after maybe a year, because you know how the Falcons have that open latch system where water and gunk and leaves and all the rest of it can get caught up in there, can eventually slowly wear the grease. can slowly weather away and get rid of that grease, and then you might get a little bit of squeaking. So not a bad idea to just pop them off and quickly give them an extra bit of grease. All right, enough talking about them. Let's go chuck a set in the car. Except I'm gonna need this one. Let's go. Whew. Oh, my knee just popped. That was really loud. All right, as you can see, we've got our wonderful Commodore here, and I'm like just that little bit not too tall. But when it comes to removing these gas struts, as you can tell, these ones are still holding somewhat. You might be able to notice in the background, although it is a bit dark. I have put an extra bar there just to take the weight of the bonnet once I do take the strut out, because obviously it's going to have half the holding capacity that it used to, and this bonnet is going to want to close. Alternatively, if you have a friend, that must be nice, but yeah, you can use them to hold it, or broomstick handle or something. There's also those little tools that I see people use that actually go on the other side of the struts, they don't collapse. That's also quite nice, but in this case I'm just using a bar because it's what I've got. Right, so as I demonstrated before, you just want to get your flat head into here and just wiggle it and move it up and out the way. And then wiggle that one, pull it out, and thankfully, bonnet strut is holding, keeping everything in position. Now we can move to the bottom half. Fortunately, because this is made by GM, they couldn't figure out how to just use hex bolts here, so instead we've got these Torx T30 screws, which are really fun. Most cars just use a regular hex, but if you want to be different like these guys, then of course you can just use Torx instead, because everyone's got a set of Torx bolts, don't they? As you can see, we've got so many sets of Torx stuff that I've just decided we'll use the long one. Totally not because that's the only one we've actually got at the moment, but anyway, take that out, bang, removed. And now we're just going to pretend like this is the new one, and we're going to be putting it in, because I'm not putting a perfectly good one in this car when one of you people could be having it instead. So let's chuck this back in, and then just before you get it tight, just make sure that, obviously not too tight, but make sure that everything lines up a little bit, so we can easily get this next one. Torque spec. Trust your instincts, not tight, not ridiculous. Don't need to frickin' strip it, especially not these, because that's going to be joyous to get out. And again, forgetting this one to become friends with this one, get our flathead in there, we'll get this happy sod out the way, and just lift the bonnet a little bit, make sure it all lines up, in, move that down, there's a nice little satisfying click, and guess what? That is all installed. Probably the most cinematic I've ever filmed a gas strut before, but of course, if you want to go check out another video, you can click in that corner up over there. If you'd like to subscribe, feel free to do so here. Thanks for that, love your work. If you've got any suggestions, comments, ideas, anything, feel free to chuck them in the comments below. And of course, if you need a part for your car or 4-wheel drive, jump on onlineautoparts.com.au.